Welcome, Margo. I'm so happy to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Awesome. I'm so excited to be here and to just take on the challenge of being on the podcast. So I'm super excited.
It's not easy, hey, because I have to I ask people and I have to ask some people like 5 times and they're like, oh my God, I'm so nervous. And I'm like, a podcast is so easy because if you make a mistake, you can just hit re-record. So it's totally fine.
Okay, good, good, good. That's
Now, Margo,
awesome.
I guess first up, what I wanted to maybe do for my people that listen, because we're talking mostly about personal branding, photographers and things, I'd like to get a sense of how you came to become a photographer. What was your journey to get to this point?
Oh, wow. That is so huge. Well, it many may not know that I come from a strong IT background. I've been in IT and information technology, focusing more so on customer experience, networking, and things like that. I started when I was 21 years old. So I have been in the IT world for a long time. And then I met my husband, my now husband. And when I met him, we were dating, and he was like, yes, I do photography in my free time. And I was like, a photographer? What? But photography, I have a love for art. I have a love for interior design. I am a HDTV fanatic. So I'm like, okay, this photography thing. All right. So as we started to date, I started going with him to different conferences, and I will fast forward our first date. He said, hey, I want to take you to Vegas. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to Vegas. So we go to Vegas, and I'm thinking it's like a real, now I know that the trip wasn't just about our first date. It was WPPI. So we go to WPPI as our first date, and I'm seeing all these crazy photographers with all this gear in Vegas, freaking out. And I'm like, okay. So I go to, he sends me to business class, IT classes, and I'm like, this is a setup. So sure enough, fast forward 2022, we eloped to Vegas and got married during WPPI. But but just going back, it started with him, his passion, and I said, okay, if we're going to be together, I went on a couple of shoots with him, and like in 2017, 18, and I'm like, hey, if we're going to be together and you're serious about this, let me just join you on your shoots. So I would like the young ladies with their hair, makeup, things like that, and hold the light. Then fast forward, I end up getting pregnant in 2019, December of 2019, again, like November, December. He had this great idea to take me on a vacation, and the vacation was in Phoenix for a lunacy conference. So we're at this conference, and they're talking about boudoir, they're talking about wedding, they're talking about all these great things. But when I went to this boudoir class, I stumbled on an opportunity to make women look and feel more beautiful, which is something that it's a true passion, because my mom is a minister, and all my life, that's what we did with empowering women, ministering to women, doing missionary work to help women from all walks of life. So it kind of like, whoa, I get a way to do this and make them feel pretty, and I can get paid. Oh, this is a winner. Sign me up. I want to get some training. I want to learn how to be a photographer. He bought me a camera. I had no clue what a f-stop, an exposure, none of that stuff was. I had zero clue, and I had to learn how to be a photographer. So I would say in 2020, during the pandemic, during the summer, I went and got one-on-one training on how to use my camera and how to do boudoir photography.
Yeah, wow.
So
What a
that's
cool
my
story.
long
I can't
story.
believe that he kept wrapping your dates into photography conferences, but
Yes,
what
that's
an
so
opportunity for
horrible.
you to have like that kind of a growth from like an IT background to then just have that complete transformation and get to follow this creative path that also kind of fills your soul mission. Like that's pretty cool.
It does. Every session gives me an opportunity. It reminds me why I have to keep going as a photographer. I have to keep learning. Like, I don't think that 5 years or 10 years from now, I'm ever going to stop learning how to be a better photographer, how to be more creative in my craft now, my new career.
I think that's so beautiful because I think that a lot of photographers can get so caught up in the business aspect of things. We can get a little bit waylaid with like all of the tasks to do in your business and like that sort of thing that sometimes you can kind of lose that creative spark a little bit, you know.
Absolutely.
I must admit, I miss the days of doing like boudoir and doing like studio portrait as well, because I do feel like that every time a woman opens up to you, there's just like this like special magic that I used to come home like fully charged at the end of those days, like just for like, oh my God. And I'd say to my daughter, you have no idea this woman, she just let her guard down and wow, she just came out of herself. Like that's a pretty cool skill to be
Beautiful.
able to, you know, it's a good gift.
It's a very beautiful experience. And I think boudoir photographers or photographers in general should not take that lightly.
I
So,
agree. I agree. Now, I don't know if I told you this before, Margo, but like when I come across you guys, it's so interesting that you had your first date at WPPI, and I feel like you and I had our first date at WPPI too.
yes, we did.
But literally, I found you guys. I had a chat with you and Keisho, and then I ran back to my hotel room because I had to do some live training for my students there inside of my academy program.
Mhm.
And I was like, guys, I have just discovered the golden ticket in photography world. I have discovered this whole new piece of software and these really cool people that are running it. Like the operation is this couple that are doing this thing. And I was like, this is just so cool. So tell me, how did you end up going from now being in IT? It makes sense to me to a certain extent, but then becoming a photographer in 2020, and now you guys are actually the owners and the CEOs and the boss of this CRM for photographers and this marketing
Absolutely.
software.
Yes, let me tell you, as many photographers know, I was going crazy using all these different tools. Going, like I mentioned, I didn't know anything about photography. So I was taking what my husband was telling me, but you know how that goes. I don't want you to tell me anything. You're just a headshot and personal branding photographer. You don't know boudoir. So, so I wanted to be trained by a boudoir photographer. So when I met Jeff and Lori, I mentored under Lori. She taught me what I needed to learn about how to use my camera and boudoir, the art of it. So, you learn that skill, you have a business to run. It's not just about the skill set. In order to be successful, you have to have the right tools. So being in IT, processes is what make things operate and flow. So it was driving me insane because I'm using this tool to make phone calls, this tool to manage my calendars, this tool to run emails. Matter of fact, I had MailChimp, I had Constant Contact, I also had another tool that I was using. And then I was putting everything in Excel and Word. I was looking at my workflow, and then I was using Active Campaign to do this, and I was using just multiple tools. And my bill was about $500-600 a month. And I'm like, okay, I have a tool that's barely working. I have to go here to here. And I'm like, babe, I'm going crazy. I am losing my mind. This is not making sense. The process, my client flow, none of this is making sense. So, not to mention, I had a separate studio management system that was running my invoices, all that good stuff. So we were at a conference, and I think it was in 2021, like September, December of 2021. And we end up stumbling on this product. It was a white label product that we were like, okay, this was like for realtors and all this other stuff. And I was like, babe, photographers need something like this. Like, we are all doing something that it's like this, but we're doing it in all these different places. How can we develop on top of this software to make it user friendly and applicable for photographers, videographers, and creators all over? And it was like, hey, babe, let's try it out. Let's see what we can do. And from there, we started reaching out to our friends. We started working with our developer friends to try to build the techniques and tools that we know photographers would need, as well as emails, workflows, templates, the things that we have used to be successful in the industry that we have learned from all the mainstream photographers from all over. Once we were able to package that, and it was a game changer. We beta tested, I think it was in 22, we beta tested in August. And from there, it's been a game changer. And like any corporation, you walk into, I tell people, Lead Savage is like a corporate office. This is your corporate office. And in that corporate office, you have an HR, you have a marketing team, you have your technology team, you have your business, your creative team to make your business work. So you have in one tool your office. So when you're able to log in, communicate with your clients, your leads, now you can take payments. Now you can email market to them. You can watch social media interactions. You can schedule all that kind of stuff. Now, it's not a tool that you can learn overnight, but it's a tool that's going to make your life so much easier to be able to operate it in one location. I hope I didn't say too much.
No, it's totally fine. Like it legit, that's what got me, because I'm a bit of a software nerd. I wouldn't say I'm a tech nerd. Like I'm not really into like camera gear and stuff, but I'm into anything that can actually save my time, because I've been in photography now for 25 years. Back in the days when I used to like literally write lists of every single, checklists of what every single client needed to do. And I have been on the hunt for something like this that could do exactly what you said, literally wrap all of the software and all of the expenses. Do you know, like even just like last week, I had one thing, a subscription that I pay for yearly, and it was $350 that just like, bam, went out of my account. And I was like, oh, I didn't even really have time to assess if I wanted to renew that subscription, which I don't, because I don't need it, because I've got Lead Savage now, just quietly. But it just kind of like those sorts of things can just kind of like all mount up inside of your business. And I think as a lot of the time too, having lots of different software can just end up making you feel creatively overwhelmed, right? Like it just makes you feel a little bit stuck. And I know when I've been to yeah, I think for a lot of the students, because I mean I very much heavily teach in this area. Like I'm all about systems and automations and trying to help photographers to make their life easier. But a lot of photographers, their brains don't think the same. Do you know, like they don't think like I'm hardwired to try and kind of go into tech stuff and figure it out. But I know a lot of people aren't. And yes, while I think the learning curve is a little bit steep for something like Lead Savage because it has so much, I think you only have to learn one thing once, right? You don't have to go in and do lots of different, like learn lots of different things.
Absolutely. And the fact, because I tell everyone I'm still, even though I have elevated a little bit faster because of my network and because of my desire to learn and know, if I'm going to do it, I want to do it right. And so my drive to be a better photographer may be different from others, but the business side is so important, because you can be a mediocre photographer like me and still go out there and make a lot of money if the business side is running properly, like your communication, responding to leads when they come in from any forum, and just being able to pick up that phone when necessary, but having automations in place to substitute when you're with your family is a game changer. And that is what sold me with Lead Savage. That is why I believe in it to the core. And I think that once you get into it, you learn that one thing is the main thing. How can my clients get in contact with me? How can I streamline the automation to respond and then allow my calendar to book the client, whether it's book a consultation or book a session. So with that, just starting there, that piece is the easiest part. When you want to get a little bit fancy, you can do that with Facebook ads, email marketings. But that main piece right there, just getting them in the door and getting them on the phone, is a complete game changer. So as the software might be a little complex when it comes to, as you know, some people are more advanced. That's why we have templates. That's why we have everything, so that if someone is new, there's things in there to get them up and running. But
Yeah, that's what I kind of really loved about it. And I was like massively on board with this because I've always sold in as part of my courses the exact workflows and the systems, but I've spent so many times, like I have spent hundreds of hours in classes telling people, open this, do that, copy and paste this template, change the name, do the thing, like I've spent hundreds of hours doing that. And now my templates are available and set up inside of Lead Savage that people can literally just come in and they can just drag and drop, right? Like it's just so easy. And I love that you guys are building out that library of like ready to go workflows and systems already set up. So anybody can just walk in, hang their hat, make it a little bit personalized, but then then hit the ground running.
Absolutely, because that is the main thing as photographers. Many photographers that I met, they're just amazing creatives, and they don't have time to learn something all over again because they've been photographers for years. But having those templates there, it was the number one thing that we wanted as a part of Lead Savage, is to have templates in there, giving them an example of what it looks like fully built, but as well as having templates for them to easily swap out so they can have something on day one.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point, is that a lot of photographers just, I feel like, especially I'm going to talk about this when it comes to the people that are listening to this, when it comes to personal branding. Yes, we do want to have personalized touches, but a lot of people these days just don't have the bandwidth to sit around and wait for you to get back to them or to respond. They want to be able to, at night, at 11 o'clock at night, when maybe they've got a glass of wine in their hand, and that's the moment when they think, oh, I've got to go and take care of that thing. They go and search. It's the person who makes things as easy as possible for them. So whilst I know that kind of like, if you're sitting there and you're going, I don't want to have to set up a new piece of software or do something like that, I think the thing is you have to take yourself out of your own experience and put yourself into the client's experience, because our bandwidth is really short, right? Like people are frazzled, people are overwhelmed. They don't want too much choice. They just want you to make it easy, and they just want to be able to do things on their own schedule, right?
Absolutely. And that's why one of the things that my husband is always, his Keisha Franklyn, he is always burning the midnight oil. He believes in the Apple method, which is 3 clicks and you should have a solution. So he is constantly trying to figure out ways to streamline this software for our clients, because it's not so much like the configuration and the setup part, but when we say our clients, these are our future clients. When we're going to a landing page, when we're going to a contact page, it should be a go to the site, look at the offer, schedule a consultation, or book. That should be the 3 clicks method to get in a client. And if we look at it from that perspective and look at the tools that are available, it just becomes a win-win solution.
I think there's a lot of people right now that are going through the mental teledex in their head of going through their own website and going, uh-oh, my website doesn't do that, or that landing page doesn't do that.
Yes. Like it's got to scroll all the way to the end, and then finally it's there. And it should be a little bit easier for them to get there. So
yeah, thank you for sharing that, because that's I think if that's the only takeaway you get. Now, I did want to go back to your lovely husband, because I think that this is a huge reason why I was initially not only attracted to the geek side of the software, but also attracted to you guys as a team, because I feel like when you get to know the owners of a company and you get to have that sort of like, I'm going to say like a relationship. And guys, I'm not suggesting that you guys are going to be on the end of every single email or anything like that. But Keisho is the technical kind of like person inside of this. And he holds space every single week for people and for users to go in and to get really personalized technical support and help and advice. I think that that's unparalleled. I don't see that with many big sort of CRMs and software operations anymore. Do you know, you're always getting onto like these help desks where you've got like this person that's, doesn't really understand. And you're lucky if you've actually got a person on the other side of it. So can you tell me why you guys decided to open that up and have him there to support people on a weekly basis?
My husband has been in IT forever. That is something I think it's our IT background. And the one thing that IT has is, having that background. Technology is, if the technology is not working, our end users, our end user or our users or subscribers are not able to do their job. So it's so important to him to make sure that, okay, what's not working? How can we fix it? Let me take a look at for you. Okay, hop on a call. He will join a call late at night because he is so big on trying to understand how he can resolve the problem. We call him the professor, or the, what do you call it? He's like a problem solver. And I think he geeks out on that. Like if you send something to him and say, this is not working, I've tried it, I promise you, he will not sleep until he figures it out. So even if the company becomes a larger company, I don't think I will be able to push him away from that, because he wants to know that anyone that signs up with Lead Savage knows that he's there. He may not be available all day, but if he say he's going to do something, he's going to reach out, he's going to call you, and he's going to do it and figure it out.
Yeah, guys,
So,
I've actually been transitioning my business over, and I can personally attest that I got like very, very good hand-holding service. So, so if you are looking to make a change or considering a change, just know that these guys are actually care and they are going to have you back. And I guess that's why I was so excited to like partner with you guys too, because I just,
awesome.
I believe people, I'm really like the more and more I kind of get into my career, and I'm sort of like maybe at the more mature end of it now, is that I really love that people who want to serve people and take care of people's needs and aren't just in it for the dollar. That's where I really see you guys are really standing out in the market at the moment. And trust me, I've tried pretty much every CRM that there is for photographers. I've given it a go. If I haven't personally signed up to it, I've coached other photographers through it. And I just think that sort of, I'm kind of like girl fanning a little bit now, but I do really believe that's the thing that stands apart for you guys, apart from, and I mean, we haven't even really, we sort of touched on some of the features, but like, guys, I'm like, as I said, I've transitioned over, and it's so amazing that I keep finding new things. I had no idea when I signed up that all of the communication, so the emails, the DMs, the text messages, everything would be captured in one place where I could just go in and check in every single day and have all of my communication. Man, that alone has saved me about 15 minutes of going into different platforms. Like, that's crazy.
And the thing that I love about it, within Lead Savage, you're able to see which forum that communication came in, and and once you respond back, it responds back into that forum. So if someone sent you a DM, it goes through Lead Savage. It comes in through Lead Savage. Once you respond back, it goes back to Instagram. So, because that's the communication that it came from. So that alone is huge. You don't have to go and open up Instagram. You don't have to go and open up Facebook. You can respond within Lead Savage back to those forums in the way they came in. So
yeah, and you can have multiple streams. So I've got two Instagram accounts, I've got two Facebook accounts, and I can host both of them in there. Like, I'm like legit. I had no idea of that until a couple of weeks ago, and I opened it up and I was like, hang on a second, that looks like an email. That looks like a DM. I was like, holy moly, they're all in the one place. Like, what a game changer.
My favorite part is that after a certain time, my automation kicks in. So when like 9 o'clock or something, like 9, 10 o'clock, whatever that might be, if someone sends me a DM, it was like, oh, in my voice, because everybody know, hey, beautiful, I'm so sorry I'm not available. Let's catch up tomorrow. But if that's not good enough, go ahead and schedule a consultation, and it provides them a link to book a session. I mean, not to book a session, but to schedule a consultation. So they're not, even though they can't talk to me or I'm not ready to respond, that automation, even, and it's going back to Instagram to say, hey, I'm so sorry, but you can schedule that consultation. Click on this link.
And you know
So,
what? I'll just tell you from a user's perspective too, is like, I know that it's got so much capabilities, and I know that a lot of people might get a little bit overwhelmed about thinking, oh my God, I've got to set all this stuff up. We've actually been transitioning over for a couple of months, and I've actually just been every week dipping in and going, oh, there's this feature. I'm going to go and take the time to set up that automation for that message. Do you know? So it's not like I've tried to do everything all at once, because I do think that that could be overwhelming. And it's nice because it's coming, as the thing is coming up, I'm going, oh, I can write this response to that thing. And now I can plug that in as an automation, and I'll never have to do that again.
so have you tried the Chat GPT 4.0 version?
No.
So right before you send a message, there's like a little star, like the star for Chat GPT. You click on that before your message, let it read it, and you decide if what you wrote was good enough. If not, let ChatGPT correct it and send it off. And
Holy.
it's in your text messages, email, your landing pages, your email marketing, all of that good stuff.
Oh my
It's
God, I'm so excited.
beautiful.
You know me now. I'm going to go and spend about half an hour after this call going in and like playing with
Because
that.
I'm from the South, and I think I have trained my Chat GPT to just accept y'all as a real word. So
I don't want to say good day, but that's probably what most people would think of as Australians. So, now let's talk about there's other features too, which I'm just discovering. I mean, we have been building out for our clients a lot of the landing pages for different offers and things like that. But you can actually host your entire website and your blog on there as well too, right?
I am working. My husband is a big, WordPress, Elementor type person, but I love having I have a basic, really cute website inside of Lead Savage. When all the mechanisms are in one place, it just seamlessly works better. Not saying that you shouldn't have your your WordPress, because inside of Lead Savage, the website backend is WordPress. But
Mhm.
like some of us, we have our separate WordPress, but the backend is still WordPress, plug and play, quick snap in, different, your headers, your different images. It works the exact same way. And the other great part about it is that we already have templates in there that
Yeah.
gives you an idea, so you just have to change out your images, adjust your verbiage, and it's done. So
So
where you can hire someone, but it's there for you.
So my designer, because we've got all of our campaigns, we've got them designed inside of Lead Savage now, so you guys can get your hands on them. But we actually, I got a designer to do it and do two different sets of kind of templates for each of our programs that we do and the offers that are attached to those programs. And she came back to me after the first day, because I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I need you to go in, and it's a whole new learning curve and blah, blah, blah. And she said at the end of it, she goes, oh my God, it was actually really easy. She actually really enjoyed the designing process in there. She said out of a lot of the ones that she's had to do, she goes, it's up at the top there in terms of usability. So that's just a bit of feedback to you, because she actually just, yeah, she was praising it. And I was like, because I was like, sometimes you get into some websites and you're like, oh my God, this is so hard. Like,
Oh,
yeah.
trust me, we know.
I don't
So
need to
yeah,
tell
I
you.
I love I love the blog, because I did not do the blog, because in other forms or other tools, WordPress or setups, it's a little bit more complicated. But being able to take a user-friendly format and quickly develop your blog, create different blogs instantly, quickly, is It's definitely been a game changer.
Yeah, my
So
my blog is still in WordPress and we're still having to like embed code. And I just noticed in some of my old blog posts now, we've got all these yucky code stuff from obviously stuff isn't working or connecting anymore. And I've just had to go through and like clean it all up. So yeah, again, to be able to bring everything into one house and one shop, I'm so excited when I get to finally move my own website over. But it's a work in progress. I'm not going to try and do it all at once.
especially, yeah, especially if you've been doing something for a long time, it is, it is time that you have to spend getting everything over. So I always tell anyone that's moving or migrating to Lead Savage, take one piece at a time. Move your contacts, set up your web form. So at least those things are coming into play, which I forgot to mention. For those later on in my career, maybe 8 years ago, I moved from being network to an IT project manager. And a lot of things that we did as an IT project manager is workflows, processes. I don't know if many of you may use Asana. Inside of Lead Savage, we call it pipelines. We call it opportunities. So within the opportunities, that means that if someone come in as a lead, you can look at it as a project based and see that that person is here. They just submitted the form, waiting on someone to contact. I spoke to that person. They didn't answer. This person scheduled a consultation. I just booked that session. So if you big on workflows, if you big on step-by-step process, and you want to see where that client is sitting within your workflow, you're able to see that within Lead Savage. If that person received communication, if your assistant or virtual assistant reached out to them, and you can see the movement of that process all within Lead Savage. And some people call it pipeline, some people call it opportunity. And I know that's a little bit more advanced, but it is a great way for you to be able to see the state of that customer or that new lead that's coming into your business.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing, right? It's so hard to get a lead. What you do with that lead is the difference between you having a business and not having a business. Like for me, one of the biggest things I think that I was so attracted to at the start with you guys was the marketing side of things, like the capacity to be able to schedule the posts for all of the platforms inside of there. Hey, can I just say to you too, what we discovered, we were using like Planoly, and then we even went into say Pinterest, right? And you've got a limited number of pins that you can schedule across in both of those. Did you know that Lead Savage, you can have unlimited pins scheduled?
Oh, I did not. I only schedule a few anyway. So I never reached, I didn't know there was a limit. So
we have literally been able to schedule out stuff so we can produce a piece of content today, we can get the value out of it today, but then we're scheduling it to get rescheduled in 3 months, in 6 months, in 12 months, and we're actually starting to build out like the whole project. And now, granted, when I get into that week, I'll have a look at what's been scheduled and I might manipulate it and move it around. But it means instead of for me picking up a piece of content and just posting it this week, it means that I can future pace, which I haven't been able to do with any of the other scheduling tools because they were time limited. Massive win.
that is awesome. That's a win. And now you go in the reporting to see how many people clicked, how many, be able to engage into your, be able to connect with your business to see the process, like who's clicking on it, who's opening, someone can click, they can receive it, they can click on it, but are they opening it? Did they read it? Things like that. So when you're posting, you can see all that, those interaction and engagement, even within Lead Savage. So getting it set up, it's just those small things that makes a difference to see how you need to adjust in your business.
Yeah, and so one thing that I guess, another thing that's a big win for me as well is the actual having it as an app, because I sort of have my sitting in front of my desktop version or in front of my laptop version of myself, and I've got my being on my phone side of things as well. But to be able to sort of like take my phone on the fly with me and actually message people in real time without having to go into the social media platforms, without going through the rabbit hole of getting distracted and losing half an hour of my life and then coming out the other side of it feeling a bit guilty because I've done nothing for half an hour. I think that's a really high value thing for a business operator to be able to have that in your phone.
Absolutely. It is a super game changer. And I keep using it because saying that word, because it is. When you just imagine if you're out with your family and someone calls call your business, you pick up the phone. It's still your business. So you got to make things happen. And I'll never forget, someone called me. I had just finished speaking or doing a session or something in either Vegas or somewhere. And I took the phone call just thinking that it was something else. It was a customer. I talked to that customer. I sent that customer a text message to pay for her session. And it took me less than 15 minutes. And I was able to talk to her, send her text message to pay the invoice, stay on the phone to make sure the invoice was paid, sent her an automated invoice to say thank you, and an automated message to make sure that she got her session scheduled and she's now ready to go. So when I got back into town, I was able to meet with her again and then ready for her session. And it took me all of 15 minutes.
Yeah, it's phenomenal.
Most of it was handled by the automations from the app, from the mobile app.
Mm.
Again, game changing.
I also think there's something just about going into that one app where all of the client communication is central, because if I go into my inbox, I have to sift through maybe 30 emails every morning just to get to one that might be a client one. And then I might have to move it to a different folder. So I make sure that I don't lose out on that. And I personally am the master of distraction if I want to get distracted, So this helps me to really prioritize on what's important in my business. And that's, for me, is that communication with clients. That's ultimately, your clients are your business, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So I think that's like a really good leaving off point, because I think that we could sit here and we could probably sit and chat and chat and chat and chat. I just want to say that I know for me personally that this has been able to, and I'm sure you found the same and you said it, this is literally replacing, I think, about 8 pieces of software for me, plus Zapier as an integrating one, because I no longer need to have multiple things talking to each other. It's going to help you to simplify things like your posting, but it can also help you to go a little bit more sophisticated, like a lot of the things that we've been talking about, right? Even Facebook ads. We didn't even touch on that.
Facebook ads. Oh my goodness. When we were able to integrate the Facebook ads and to be able to, once you ran an ad, and be able to see the engagements, the clicks, how much money you're spending, all that kind of stuff, all within Lead Savage without having to open up Facebook Manager, Business Suite. Oh my gosh. I was like, oh my gosh. And you are able to see what that ad is going to look like. You can set everything up all within Lead Savage. So time. When you don't have to go to multiple places to run your business, you're saving time. That means you have the ability to make more money.
I just pinch myself when I think about the business model that I had, say, 10 years ago, having to piece everything together. And I would say 5 years ago, it was at peak craziness.
5 years ago.
5 years ago at peak craziness. Well, even like up until I found you guys, up until the end of last year, I look at how much money, when my accountant actually said it to me, he goes, look, I had 3 different categories of software. So post-production software, marketing software, and CRM software. And inside of the CRM software, there was like 4 different things, right? Like calendar, the CRM itself and all these other things. And my accountant actually said it to me, he goes, what the actual are you spending all this money on software for? And I was like, I don't have a shop front anymore. So my digital world is my shop front. So I want to make sure everything is, like you said, the 3 button touches. But like, he was just like, this is nuts. Just didn't get it.
And guess what? Next year, when you start to see that revenue back into your business, you're going to say, Margo, I'm sending you a bottle of wine from Italy. And I'm like, I'll take it.
What you like, darling, I'll be sending it your way. So
Because and that's what it was. It was like, okay, we just had a baby, we have all this expenses, daycare is $1,000, $1,200. We're trying to, I'm giving up my IT career to follow the photography path. It was just a lot of expenses, and we wasn't even using all these different tools. So with unlimited calendars, it just became a win-win situation. And for us, being photographers, working in photography day to day, it's our bread and butter. It makes us more driven to spread the word and to show people from someone like us that started, we're not seasoned yet photographers, and how we built our business and how we got to six figures, and in a short amount of time using the right tools. So, and also having the right people around you. So the right, business minded, having the right mentors, taking, learning. You have, that is huge. And I wouldn't change anything. So
I'll tell you what, if
maybe
I
one.
could go back to my first 5 years in business, I would go and invest
Mhm.
in a business mentor. And I'd go and I'd stop trying to perfect the craft of photography, even though you need to, that's definitely thing. But I'd go and try and get business education first, because I honestly think it doesn't matter. I've seen so many amazing, like beautiful award-winning photographers that couldn't sell their photography, like just couldn't sell it. And then I've seen some really, really average photographers, like really, really average stuff. And they do so well just because they just know how to run the business. Like it's just,
Yeah.
it's
And
so
one thing
hard.
that, yeah. And the one thing that we surround ourselves with, like, we're not the gurus of marketing,
Mm,
but our marketing platform and our all-in-one solution allow us to bring in you, Paula, to bring in other strong seasoned photographers that have been seeing the shifts in marketing and in shifts and the changes in Facebook and all these type of things. By having a good team around us to educate not just us, my husband and I, but the people that are on our platform, the people that are interested in our platform on how to be better business owners, we can handle that. But how to learn, teaching us and educating us how to market. And
mm,
that is forever changing. No matter
mm.
what tool you use or choose to use, having the right people around you to assist with how to market is the best thing that anyone can invest in.
Yeah, and honestly think like I reckon out of like all of my courses, I reckon 35% of it is marketing. I think 35% of it is automations and having the right emails and
Yeah.
the right touch points at the right time. And I think that there's like 10% of what I teach is around photography. And I remember when I first started teaching, people would come and they'd be wanting to learn how to take the photos. And I'm like, I'm not going to teach you that. I'm sorry. Now I realize I do have to teach that, but to a certain extent.
Oh yeah.
Good
You,
stuff.
you just need that day. I always say you need that day on shooting, but the majority of your time, and this just coming from someone that just started a couple of years ago, you need to learn, understand your craft, but the business side is way more valuable than anything else.
If only it wasn't so. I mean, I always joke about this. Like when I first started in business, if you had the biggest yellow pages ad, you got a phone call. Do you know? That was just how it worked, do you know? Oh, to go back to
Yeah.
those days, it was so glorious. And you
Yeah.
used to send your film away and it would come back fully processed. You didn't even have to touch it, do you know?
And not today. Oh my gosh. Let's not talk about Photoshop. That I'm still trying to my retoucher must rich because of all the work I send him, because I that is not something I ever want to hold dear to me.
See, you're
So hats
smart.
off to those that hats
Again,
off to those that love that.
Again, you're smart because I literally spent, oh gosh, I reckon I spent about a good 12 years sitting in a dark room, going image after image after image, again, not thinking that anybody else could do it. So you're smart. You learn to outsource very quickly. You're a very smart businesswoman, darling.
If you're not good at it, you outsource. And that was something that I learned in business and, in my years of working in corporate America. If you're not good, you hire someone that's good at it. And it makes you more successful at the end. So being an IT project manager taught me that I'm good at giving orders and making sure all the pieces work, but I am even better at bringing in the right team. So we have our lives. We have our lives with Anika. She's on there. Ask her anything, and she is a guru when it comes to those landing pages, automations, all those type of things that we are trying to figure out. Jeff is on there on Wednesdays doing marketing calls. Monday marketing, to show you different tips and tricks on how to use the software to market your business. Just simple things that you may not be doing. So he's there offering that. And then my husband, if you want to be a little savvier or you couldn't make it to those, he has Tech After Dark on Thursdays in the evenings, like 7:30. And you're able to geek out with him because he loves a challenge. So, but then we have support. And then we have our support team, which is very robust, and whatever is not being answered, my husband is always watching. So he'll jump in and see what he can do to fix it for you. So
you've certainly got all of the bases covered. And I really thank you so much for coming on and sharing all about the good stuff about Lead Savage. Because I know for you, you've shared with me that you've had a rapidly quick growth in your career over the last 4 or 5 years. And I'm sure that it's, because of having this as well as your own tenacity. But I really hope that in us sharing today that maybe we're able to help other photographers to just overcome this sort of like boring admin and tech sort of hurdles that they might be suffering from in their business right now and have a complete all-in-one solution. So thank you for sharing.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure to be here and honored to be on your podcast. You are an amazing photographer and educator, and I am so grateful that you chose Lead Savage.
You